Hi friends, hope you are doing well. I'm Dr. Ganguly. Welcome to my channel. So today I will be talking about the Schengen visa. And essentially the Schengen visa is the way you enter a large number of European countries which are very popular for conference and tourist destinations such as France, Germany, Spain, Sweden, and so on. Now, if you guys have been following my channel, you know that one of the tasks of a scholar is to go to international conferences, and very often the top conferences are in US and Europe. And what often happens is that the US visa process is pretty onerous, and getting the B1 B2 visa, which is the typical visa you need for conference and tourism, can be quite difficult. It may take a lot of time. You may get the 221G pink slip and so on. So you can always consider the Schengen region, the European Union region, as a possible alternative if you are going for a conference. So let's look at the possibility of getting visas in the Schengen region. Now, one of the things you should know is that there are essentially two types of visitor or travel visas for conferences, and these are single entry visa and multiple entry visa. So single entry visa, like the name suggests, means that you go to that country, you do whatever you have planned to do, whether it's attend a conference or tourism, and then you come back to your home country. And essentially, if you want to go the next time, you have to get a new visa. You have to pay the fee, you have to apply, you have to submit all the application documents and so on. Now, if you get a multiple entry visa, this visa is for a pretty long period. So it may be for 1 year, it may be for 5 years. In some case, you may even be lucky and get a 10-year multiple entry visa. So in that case, what happens is that you can come and go as you please. And these kind of visas are very useful if you are a regular traveler to that country, particularly if you are one of those researchers who often needs to go to these countries for conferences and so on. So what happens in the single entry visa is that the visa is typically limited to a few days around the conference or the tourism you have planned for. So if you are planning to go sometime in June of any year, then they will give you a visa which is spanning June or maybe June and July. At best, it may be 30 days, it may be slightly more than that, or sometime it may be even less. They may just give you a visa for 10 days or something like that. So it's pretty restrictive. So now let's look at the possibility of getting multiple entry Schengen visa, and I have compiled this information from some articles in Economic Times and some magazines. So essentially the highest possibility in terms of multiple entry Schengen visa is from Germany, and more than 90% of the visas issued by German consulates tend to be multiple entry visa. Now, Germany also has one of the lowest rejection rates in terms of the Schengen visa. And if we look at the second and third country here, it is Slovenia and Estonia. So these are also two countries which you can target if you are looking for a multiple entry Schengen visa. So in Slovenia, the acceptance rate is about 81%. In Estonia also, it is about 81%. So essentially, these countries, Germany, Slovenia and Estonia, are very likely to give you multiple entry Schengen visa. So if you are planning for conferences, you can target these three countries for going to any conference. Now let's look at the worst countries. So essentially for multiple entry visa, Spain is at 39%, France is at 40%. So these two are unfortunately countries which are very restrictive in terms of giving multiple entry Schengen visa. Now, interestingly, France is one of the countries which receives the most Schengen visa applications, and you can imagine the reason. It could be because there are a lot of tourism destinations in France and so on. Spain is the second country as far as Schengen visa applications are concerned. But as I mentioned to you, these countries typically give you single entry Schengen visas. So these two countries are not good if you are seeking multiple entry Schengen visas. Now, beside this, there are some more countries you can target. For example, Austria, 74% is multiple entry, Italy 73%, and Finland 72%. So these are some of the better countries if you are looking for the multiple entry Schengen visa. And the worst three countries are Iceland at 5.8%, Norway at 33%, and Sweden at 33%. So essentially, if you are looking for a multiple entry Schengen visa, do not go for Iceland because you may be frozen out of the process in this application. So that was for multiple entry visa. Now let us look at the situation of rejection rates. So if we look at the rejection rates, and all this data I'm giving you is for 2022. So essentially, Germany has a rejection rate of only 16.2%, and this is one of the lowest rejection rates. The average rejection rate is about 17.9% for the typical Schengen visa, and these are general Schengen visas, not multiple or single, all Schengen visas combined. Now the maximum rejection rates are from these countries: Malta, Sweden, Belgium, and France. So these are countries you should be careful about in terms of applying for Schengen visa. The lowest rejection rates are from Iceland, Lithuania, Finland, and Latvia. So again, these countries are the ones which you want to target all the time. So essentially, I know a friend of mine who used to regularly go to Finland for conferences. So now I know why he used to do that. Maybe he got the Schengen multiple entry visa for Finland, and then he was just able to use this visa over several years. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that every time you apply for a visa, that costs a lot of money. So keep that in mind. It's an expense of both money and time. And therefore, if you are able to get a multiple entry visa of any country, you can essentially target that country for repeated visits for conferences. It makes it very simple to make a plan to go there. You essentially know you have a visa, so you can focus on getting the best and cheapest flight. You can focus on getting the hotels and places which are also the best deals for you, and so on. So essentially, multiple entry visas are a great thing for any scholar or researcher or professor. So if you are one of those people who needs a visa to go to countries, I would certainly suggest that you do some research here and target countries which have multiple entry visa. Even I should tell you that the US does give multiple entry visa, so you can get a 10-year multiple entry B1, B2, and if you get that, you can come and go, and it makes it very easy in terms of getting good flights, getting good hotels, and so on. You do not have to go to the consulate, stand in the line, and do all these problematic activities to get the visa. So that's something which is always advantageous. So I would of course request most governments and consulates and ambassadors to facilitate the visits of researchers and scientists and give them multiple entry visa. So that would certainly help the cause of science and scholarship in general. These guys are not guys who run away into your country and try to migrate. They are mostly interested in the research aspects, and they do their research work and they come back to their home country, and they also facilitate international research between countries, which is of course very important because that often leads to high impact journal publications. So this was my take on the Schengen visa. I hope this video is useful to you. If you haven't till now, please subscribe to my channel and encourage your fellow men and women to subscribe. And I will see you in a video sometime soon. See you then.